Morning, everybody. The excitement is building. It is CEO
yes.
Chat on a Friday morning at 10:30. My name is Al Cini.
I'm Joe Osmendi.
And guess who this is?
Mitchell Chi.
Mitchell Chi. Mitch is somebody I've known for a long time.
Great, nice to meet you. Again.
Really
Same
great to
here.
have him on the
Nice to meet you,
program.
Joe.
And he is a master at the long game of selling. I mean, which is really in the field of solution selling, which is what you don't like to call it, and we'll talk about that first. In the field of complex technical sales, the long game is the game is the way you win the game.
Right.
So I know we tend to call it solution selling. People out there might be familiar with that phrase, but you're not crazy about that phrase.
No, I'm not.
Why
I'm not.
is that?
I have a very important opinion on that. A solution always means there's some pain or some problem, right? And solution selling's fine. I think it's the buzzword of last week, and we're here this week. But really what I'm seeing in dealing with corporate America, and primarily mid to small businesses, is that executives don't have time to hear the whole solution. They really want to know what an outcome is. Right? I've got a drill. It does this. It's 3,500 RPM. Any type of drill bit, right? And in the end, all you want is a hole. And you want a hole, as you've told me all the time, you want a hole 3/4 of an inch wide, an inch deep, and I want it by next month.
Right.
And
That's an outcome.
That's
not a solution, because you have pain. Your pain is you're going to attach something to the hole. What are you using the hole for?
Right.
So I've been selling solutions. I've been selling outcomes primarily for about 20, 25 years. Some of the biggest companies, Oracle, Infor, 11 startups. And that's my take, and it's an interesting topic.
You bring all that background to it, but that's your professional background. We've talked over lunch a couple of times, and I know that you're part Chinese, part Jewish.
Oh, yeah.
And you grew up in New York City.
I did.
And if there's
I'm a real New Yorker.
a real New Yorker, I mean,
Yeah.
you actually grew up and you were born in and raised in New York
PS
City.
87.
Okay, that's for
And
real.
PS 116, I went to school on a subway
Oh, wow.
when I
okay.
was 6.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd never do that now.
No.
No, it's funny.
Right? My
It's
mom
funny.
would put me on the same car, and
Yeah.
the teacher would be there with a clipboard. I'd come out, she'd hold my hand, we'd all hold hands, and we'd go to school.
That was how school was done. And you know, one of the things you learn from that is street smarts.
Oh boy!
And
you
street smarts is really the secret to building a relationship in a
Yes.
sales encounter, isn't it?
Yes, very, very well said.
So that long game, you need a relationship. That means you gotta look people eye to eye and really understand what it is they're trying to accomplish, even if you don't understand the technical details of what will ultimately cause that outcome for them. So talk about that relationship and why that's
So that's a great comment. So I've probably hired over 300 salespeople in my career, and hired them, recruited them, mentored them, the whole works, right? What you find is when you first get into the professional side of selling, which I think is a great career, by the way, right? You hear this thing of, I'm going to go meet with the CEO and I'm going to ask him what keeps you up at night.
Right.
He's not going to share with you what keeps him up at night. What earned that trust for him to say, let me tell you what keeps me up at night, right? Second thing is, and when you're solution selling, it's implicit there's some type of problem. If you're selling outcomes, it could be an outcome they never thought of, right? How would you like to get a package to a customer in 2 days? I never thought of that. All right, well, here's the outcome. They put a web order in, today. We expect it, right?
Sure.
But think back 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I put an order in today. I get the package on my doorstep in 2 days. That's an outcome.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
an outcome.
right.
10 years ago, there was no pain for that. So somebody there, we know who, somebody there said, wow, I'm not going to worry about the solution. I'm going to worry about filling a need for an outcome. And the outcome is I can deliver a package in 2 days.
In 2 days, or 1 day, or even
Or
that
one day.
I mean, and
I'll
and
order
you
it in the morning, I'll deliver it this afternoon.
They're doing that. They're incrementally improving that outcome for you. Nobody needs an electric shaver that quickly.
Right.
It's not about need. It's not about, oh my God, I need
Well,
to
I
shave.
might.
Notice you're a little
I
off.
might, Al.
Yeah, you might. But I mean, the whole point is you get that. That becomes a need after a while. It becomes
Absolutely.
an expectation.
Absolutely, and that's where you get pivots, right? I tell people there's quantum leap, company typically has, most companies have 5 growing stages.
Right.
And it's just like right? You're a child, you're an adolescent, you're a teenager, you're a young adult, you got kids, you're parenting, and then you're entering into a later time in your growth, company growth, right? And you find that it's a fascinating place to be. It really is. It's
One of the
fascinating.
things I think is interesting about our conversation we had so far is that, remember the Sadler system, okay? And it was all about feel your pain, feel your pain, feel your pain. And you'd have salesmen that actually went to these systems and they'd talk to a CEO and bore him. Basically just find your pain before you can get the outcome.
You practice the conversation before you're actually meeting the person.
Right.
That's a bad thing.
It is. And when you look at the outcomes like that, it goes right to the chase.
Yeah.
And takes busy people.
You're netting it out right away. And in today's acceleration of business, decision makers don't have time
to do that, exactly.
And my sales, like you said, long game, is that in my ERP sales world right now, right? Typically that sales cycle is 9 to 12 to 18 months.
Okay.
It's not coming in saying, I
Right.
want this bottle of water and take it off the shelf.
Right.
This is a very long sales cycle with multi-dimensions of pieces in the sales cycle, relationships, product, support, go into all that, right?
Right.
It's a very long game.
Yeah.
I love your word, long game. But in the end, what keeps you up at night?
Come on.
Right. Yeah.
No executive cares. You
That'll
walk in the
never
door
come out.
now,
Yeah.
they're like, you got 3 minutes. And I'll tell you 2 quick stories, if I may.
Sure.
Please do.
I was at Oracle, one of the top salespeople at
Pretty
Oracle
big outfit.
in the dot-com age, right? Working on a big deal. It was so big, we had to fly out to Redwood Shores, the whole sales team. We prepped for weeks. Internal, not for the customer. They always did red team reviews, right? So we fly out to Redwood, we're all nervous. We're going to present a dry run to the executives of Oracle, just our management level, not. So working weeks, got the PowerPoints, the 72 PowerPoints, right?
Right, yeah.
And who waltzes in? Larry Ellison,
The guy
the
who
founder,
runs, the founder of the boss
Oracle.
at Oracle.
And he comes in, tall man, 6'5", big presence, third richest man in the world then.
Wow.
And he sits next to my sales rep, and he goes, "You're all prepared, right?" "Oh, yeah. This is a big opportunity. I can get it closed in the next 45 days. He goes, "Great." And he takes the lid of the laptop and closes it.
No kidding.
Wow.
Do it without the slides.
"Let's sit here and just talk."
Just talk to me about
And he
it.
crossed his legs. He
Yeah.
goes, "Talk to me.
Well,
I don't want to see PowerPoint promises."
I
And
want to.
today I use that. No PowerPoint promises,
Yeah.
right? A PowerPoint should really be designed to give you some filler.
Right.
But if it's so comprehensive in 70 slides, send it to me ahead of time. I'll
yeah,
ask
for
you
real. I'll read
questions.
it over. I mean, you told me on
Right?
on our call that we had a couple of days ago that if the conversation with the client starts with, "Do you have a projector?" you're probably on the wrong path right off the bat. I mean, if that's how you start a conversation, where do I
Absolutely.
plug in? Then you really are never going to connect with a human being. You're just going to show them slides, and that's not going to be what influences them.
Right.
I
You're
think-
on the money. And so that's one story, right? And he just closed the lid, and my sales rep and myself, because at that point, good sales manager needs to be a good parent.
Right.
So I came in and kind of supported, right? And it was going to be a 2-hour red team review, but when Larry walked in, guess what? You have 10 minutes.
Right.
That's it.
Close the
30
lid.
Tell me what
Said,
you
"I'm
got."
the CEO of this cable company. Tell me what we're doing." Totally threw my team off. I had pre-sales people, I had sales support people, I had all those in the room.
Yeah.
We all looked at each other. The guy next to me on my team wrote down on a piece of paper, "Can you get a refund on that Mercedes?" And I did the big smiley face.
Oh, yeah.
and slid it back to him,
Right.
right? So it's an interesting story,
Sure.
right? Just the same.
Well, I mean, it's a real
to your
story.
point. To your
It's
point.
a real story.
And the second thing is, you always have to think that you're selling, or you have to believe, people buy from people. Companies don't buy from companies. They don't buy from companies. And look at all the salespeople that have a huge Rolodex, if you
Right.
want to call it that, and they've moved between companies in different industries. Think about it. Now, I've been in healthcare, right? I've been all around the world as far as people look at my resume, they go, what is this, a Chinese menu? I go, yeah, it's got mushu borscht on it, and it's got crepe lo mein. I'm Chinese Jewish, and here's what we're doing, right? Those days are over. So really, it's getting right to the nitty gritty of it and stimulating and provoking thought. Thought. That's when you start to get the spark, right? 10 years ago. How about delivering a package in 2 days? Can't be done. My warehouse, no logistics, no this, no that, can't be done. Let's not even talk about it. Well, an outcome is, how about deliver a package in a week? And as you get up and running, we'll move that package to 2 days.
We'll move it to 2 days.
Or Jeff Bezos, how about we send a drone and drop the
And
package
drop it on
to you?
your
Which
front.
I'm a little scared of. I don't want the refrigerator hitting me in the head. Hey, look, it came in 2 hours. Whoops.
Make sure you're not under it.
Well, you know, that's the genesis of FedEx, by the way. When you look at it that way, they were the first one that sold a concept.
That's
Exactly.
a disruption.
It is.
Yes,
We're
exactly.
really in the subject of disruptive stuff. And you refer to yourself not as a salesperson, but as a change agent. So
Yes, I do.
disruption is like your middle name, right?
I do. I do.
How do you,
it-
how do you
it-
get in there? And that's
So
what your customers
disruption
want.
is a buzzword too. And don't say transformation to me, because I'm ready to strangle you.
Yeah.
Right? So really, let's think about things, right? I got into technology when typewriters were big.
Right.
I'm an old guy, right? Typewriters were big. And I had a next door neighbor, I was living in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and my next door neighbor came over and he said, hey, there's this little computer store down in Albuquerque that's got federal contracts. I go, for what? Like selling big Cray computers? Like, what do they do? They're selling these little toy computers called microcomputers. Microcomputers. I go, what? I don't have a technology background. I go, what the hell is a microcomputer? He goes, I don't know either. He was the co-chair, former co-chair of Solomon Brothers, right?
Wow, okay.
So I looked at him and he goes, it's a 45-minute drive. Let's go down to Albuquerque, right? Go meet with him. You and I are just sitting around wondering what color brown we're going to paint our Adobe house. We got nothing to do, and let's go down there. So we go down, they tell us the whole spiel, right? The Jewish side of me.
Yeah, there
They
you
give
go.
me the whole spiel, and then, next thing you know, we're in the business of selling Apple computers to the federal department, the federal weapons labs.
Wow.
Los Alamos, White Sands, right? High-end stuff. They're buying Macintoshes. And they're consuming them.
I mean, they're buying them like crazy, so, wow.
Like the old hotcakes.
Yeah.
Although a lot of people don't know what hotcakes
Yeah,
are.
right, but-
Like Starbucks.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're selling it like donuts.
Right.
So we go in, we give them some money, we're factoring receivables, and all of a sudden I'm in the computer business. Well, here's the transformation, right? The outcome was we want to have the ability to edit what we type on the fly. We don't want to pay $1,300 for a typewriter anymore. We don't want to pay $5,000 for a Wang word processor. We'll pay $2,000
For
a
one of these
Macintosh.
things for a Macintosh.
And what's this thing? That's called a mouse.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't use my keys and move around to the letter. and back. No, it's just click and right.
Wow.
So we got into that business. 10 years later, we went Small Business of the Year.
No kidding.
And we went to
With that-
Washington, D.C. We built that business so big, and we did training. We trained 11,000 scientists
Wow.
and engineers in the course of 7 years
Wow.
that
Well,
we won an award.
That's impressive.
It
We
was-
need
it
to
was
take a
fun.
break. I got like 11 million questions I need to ask you. This is
All right,
a
well,
30-minute program.
we only have 4 minutes.
We only-
Go.
We're going to take a break. When we come back from the break, I want to ask you more about outcomes versus solution selling.
Great.
Which philosophically, I think that's a major shift. I don't want to say transformation. It's kind of disruptive the way you think.
Don't say that either.
I won't say that either. And we'll talk about how you choreograph all that.
Great.
And so we'll be back with more CEO Chat after these messages.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. What do you think?
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
We're back.
We're back. Welcome back to CEO Chat. My name is Al Cini.
Joe Osmendi here.
And we have Mitch Chi with us, who has forgotten more about selling than most people ever knew. And it's
What's your name again?
well, except for that, I can't remember. Thank you. When you figure that out, let me know, because I'm confused about that. Mitchell, during the break, and many conversations we've had before, there is a kind of a spiel that sales reps feel like they need to recite, and they practice it in advance, and no matter what the prospect says, they go into that speech. You don't do that. Instead, you ask open questions, you have a conversation, you try to find out how to make the person you're talking to into a hero. What outcome will make you a wonderful person in the eyes of your coworkers and your managers and your company?
Correct.
Do I have that right?
You do, with a little bit of twist there, but you do.
Twist for me.
Right? So a successful salesperson, and everybody thinks that that's a lowly job. It's the highest paying profession worldwide. I love the profession. I'm very passionate about it. And it's not 3 martinis and let's go play golf and let's do this and let's do that. And you push them to sign something. Isn't that a little slimy? Right?
Yeah.
And if you truly believe what you're doing, if you truly believe that you've set up an outcome that your buyer really wants, they take over the sales process.
Right.
They take over the sales process.
It's really about buying. It's
Absolutely.
not about selling.
They become the transition of the outcome. They own it, and then they take it forward internally, and that's where a salesperson has really succeeded. Doesn't mean the person signed the contract. It happens a lot of times in the middle of a sales cycle.
Really?
But you've got 1 or 2 advocates and sponsors inside a company that goes, we got to have this. Oh my God, we need this. I got an email yesterday where the CFO said, I absolutely need this explanation point.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, that tells you now it's really just a matter of facilitating that.
Yeah.
So in this 1.5-year process, maybe 18 months, where you're talking to a client, a lot of those conversations that you have with that client have nothing at all to do with what you're selling or what they think they're buying.
It's a great point.
Talk about those conversations.
So can I give you an analogy?
Yeah, please do.
Right?
Definitely.
Okay. This is you're not sure if you want to buy a car, a vehicle, right? You walk into me. Immediately, I just start. It's got 4-wheel drive. It's got this. Look at the dashboard. It's gorgeous, so on and so forth. I'm just running my mouth, right? Look at this car. Look at that car. Aha, right? You don't give the buyer a chance to say anything.
Right.
Why are you here? Well, we have a beach home, and we have no kids, and my wife and I enjoy this, and I have an outcome for you. What about a 2-seater? What about a 2-seater vehicle? Yeah, right? Yeah. Or conversely, I own a small business. I'm in the plumbing business. I'm looking for a truck. Right? You've got to have a dialogue. It's not a conversation. A dialogue is very different. You've got to have that exchange. And the second thing you need to build in, I hate to say it, solution selling, but in outcome selling is that you really need to put forth that you are an expert in the field. Right? You're a luminary. You're a thought leader. And if you can't convey that, they have no interest if you're a walking brochure. I'm going to stay away from him. He's a walking brochure. Every time I see him, all he's telling me about, hey, let me tell you about the new tire upgrade. Let me tell you about the new radio and dashboard.
Right.
I haven't decided what I want yet.
I don't even know what I want to drive yet. And that starts to feel predatory too after a while. So I mean, now all of a sudden it's about, I'm starting to feel like meat on the table, not like a person. And that is a really uncomfortable position to put somebody in, not conducive to what you're trying to accomplish at all. Don't work against yourself, work with yourself.
I speak at a lot of universities, you know, primarily kids that are there for marketing.
Right.
There's no degree called sales.
No.
Closest thing is like marketing, right?
Well, the
And I
big
look at
key,
them and I
too.
go, if you were a salesperson, where would you go to get leads? Oh, I go here, I'd send out postcards, I do this, I do that. You ever think of stopping by a bus stop?
Seriously.
What? Those are people without cars.
Right.
Do you ever
That's-
think of going up to somebody? How much does a bus cost you a month? You go to work on a bus. Yeah. Yeah. How about for $99 a month, $25 a week? I can put you in a car that would get you to work 40% faster,
Right.
Yeah.
would allow you to be mobile. I'd run by bus stops. I really would.
Well-
And I'd sit there and go on a lot of bus trips because I talk to people on the drive.
That just makes sense. I mean, we've interviewed.
That's an outcome.
We've interviewed realtors who've said you go someplace where people are renting to live, talk to them because they really want to own a home. They just haven't thought much about it yet. So get them to talk about that. And that's the outcome. The outcome is now you own a place in this world. You're not just renting a place in this world. And that is so
Yeah,
so
it's-
freaking important.
So the whole concept around outcomes is what my company's been doing for many, many years.
And
right?
let's talk about Sage Professional Services because
Great.
you're available to help people outcome sell, which is talk about that. How do you do that?
Yeah, so this is a company that's had morphed through many different phases, but recently, in the last 7, 8 years, I'd like to trademark it, but you can't. You've heard of software as a service, you've heard of all this stuff, SaaS. We've put together a package that's called RAS, and it's not recent. Been doing this for 10 years. And RAS stands for Revenue as a Service. Right?
Interesting.
So I bring in myself, right, not as an employee, as part of Sage Professional Services, and a team of other salespeople that have domain expertise in your industry, marketing people, some marketing people to craft the message. We're a self-contained service.
Got it.
And typically companies use us in one of two ways. Launch a new product, right? Or quantum leap our current sales or get into very hard accounts. I'm going to give you 5 accounts we dream of getting into. We haven't been
Break
there
it,
yet.
break
And it's
those
very
accounts for
expensive
me.
to have a salesperson that's full-time.
Sure.
I hate to say this, waste time.
Yep.
Because we're all basically, we're comped on the results.
Wow.
We're comped on the results. So RAS
Right.
has really taken off, especially now, because we know how to sell on Zoom. We know how to reach people. And look, there's so many people in transition right now. For me or Sage to find people that are really at the top of their profession, and whatever happened, they're especially COVID now, they're kind of sidelined, right?
Right.
These are excellent surgeons. So I'll reach out to them and say, I just picked up a contract with so-and-so. You have domain expertise there while you're looking for a job.
Right.
The
Right.
word is, while you're looking for a job,
Right.
how would you like to come in as a contract under me, under Sage? And I'm going to put together a little SEAL team, and we're going to go work with this company, and we're going to make things happen. Quantum leap, enter a new market,
Right.
enter target customers.
Crack an important
and the
account.
businesses like it because it's not a drag on overhead. Think
Right.
about
That's
it.
Well,
exactly right. You
it's-
eliminate
I'm
the
all
overhead and still put
performance-based.
together
It makes a
positive
lot of
team.
sense.
Exactly.
And the people at the company that are working with you while you're doing
Right.
this are learning from you while they're doing
Absolutely.
while they're supporting it. So I actually amp up my own game by hiring somebody part-time, full-time, whatever the engagement might require. Bringing you in means everybody learns from you how you
Yeah,
do
so
it.
so when a company comes in under RAS, we give them the right to hire our people.
Right. Okay.
We give them a right to
Wow.
hire. It's kind of like a test drive of salespeople out in the field. And I go out in the field. So it's not like, great, where are you going?
Right.
I'm going to be part of the SEAL team. I'll be
Right.
part of the SEAL team. I'm very good at it. But you have the right to hire people, or you can use me to help train your people. But why waste your precious sales team with experimenting?
Right.
Experimenting in sales is very expensive. Very expensive.
And time consuming.
And time consuming.
And time consuming.
So we got people out there that maybe love their product but can't understand why the rest of the world doesn't. but they're so into their product, they really just don't know how to represent it properly to the rest of the world. They're more focused on the solution than the outcome.
Yep.
You can help them.
Absolutely.
So it's a startup. I got a great product. I need the world to know how great it is from there. And your first question is, what is the outcome that this product creates? And how do we communicate
And
that?
I've worked with a lot of startups. So it's the dream. You have a bunch of passionate people. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I can get a package. I invented something, I can get a package in 2 days.
Yeah, wow.
All right, well, have you really thought it out? I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. You're an adolescent. Everything's new.
Right.
yeah.
Right?
Right.
I'm going to drive forward. I don't want to hear no's.
Right.
Right.
I'm ready.
Wow.
But you've got to bring in the discipline
Right.
Well,
of
that's what,
selling and a different way to sell. Think of all the people knocking on your door.
Right.
You've got to elevate yourself as something different, new.
right.
I'm gonna listen to this person. So RAS is very exciting for me.
It is.
It's
well,
I've had this for 10, 15 years.
this is
on
every
and off,
conversation
on
we've
and
ever
off.
had has been this. And we're at that point where you get to tell everybody how to reach you. It's Sage Professional Services.
Correct.
If you're looking to actually create or actualize a channel strategy, you want to sell through resellers, these are the guys that can crack those accounts for you. If you're looking to launch a new product or launch a new company, these are the guys that can help you get traction on that. All right, I think there's a million reasons why you want to be reaching out
And
to
it's
this
great.
guy.
We don't have a website for 2 reasons. Companies typically want to keep us under the covers.
Sure, absolutely.
Often.
And my team, my SEAL team comes in with cards that are
That's perfect.
my clients.
Yeah.
And they come in with ready to go. We're kind of a whole product development sales team in a box.
Wow.
And it's been a lot of fun. I'm a little older in age,
I think it's perfect then.
and I'm in a very young industry.
Yeah.
And I've been all over from telecom to healthcare to ERP and you name
Excellent,
it.
excellent.
No cars though. I've
Okay.
never sold cars in my life, but I would
But
come
you-
by a
you bought
bus
them.
stop.
You bought them.
Bus stop.
And that's where you would go. All right. So people out there, if you really want to see sales in action, this is the guy you want to call. So Mitchell, why don't you let everybody know how to reach you?
Great. You can reach me at the following email. It's verysage, as in Sage Professional Services. Verysage, the number 1 at gmail.com. And my cell phone is always with me. It's 484-459-2900. And I'd love to hear from you, just to chat. Tell me what the outcome is.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what you want.
Tell me what you
the
want. Tell
outcome.
me what you. Yeah, listen, this has been such a great conversation, and people out there think you watch Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, and that's how you sell. That's
No
pure
steak
crap.
knives. No steak knives.
If that's how you think you sell, then you're wrong. This is how you do it, and you definitely want to reach out to this guy. Mitchell.
Tommy Boy selling.
Really? Is that
Tommy Boy
Tommy Boy
selling
was
works.
selling. That was
Yeah.
I got to go back and watch that movie.
Tommy Boy selling.
That was great. Thank you all for joining us today on CEO Chat. My name is Alcini.
Joe Osmendi, as usual.
Thanks, as usual. And thanks again, Mitchell Chi, for joining
Yeah.
us today. And everybody out there, have a great weekend.
Very enjoyable.
Oh, it was so
safe.
much fun.